Yes, go for it.
I was gonna say he was the most human character of them all. He had like all of these strong feelings, all from sorrow, guilt to actual happiness. And he, I don't know, he was more human than all the others.
Yeah. Like he went through more changes than anybody else and actually expressed himself. Is Pearl a blessing or a curse to Hester? Or is she both?
Well, like both. Because like without Pearl, I don't think Hester would have gone through all this. Like the judging other people and have to live like the life she did. But then she's just Pearl, so I think she's both bad and good.
She's like a blessing also, like when Hester first got like cast out of like society and stuff, she would have been like really lonely without Pearl's like company, so that part was a blessing.
But Pearl was the reason she got cast out. Well, kind of, not really. That was what she did to get Pearl, but cast her out. Okay,
I think she's both.
I guess.
Because if Pearl hadn't been born, and then eventually Chillingworth would have come back, and then Hester and Chillingworth would have been in a marriage of awkwardness and loving. But Pearl can also be a curse because Hester did eventually get cast out of society and was shunned.
Okay. Adding on to that, what do you think would have happened if Hester hadn't like gotten pregnant and had Pearl? Like what would have changed? Like they still like had their sin and whatever, but she didn't get pregnant from it.
Well, Pearl's like at least we assume how like she got discovered because like she had the baby, so that's how they knew about the sin. So I feel like she never would have like no one really would have known about it, and so going off what you said, like probably Chillingworth would have come back and like they would have gotten back together, I guess. But it would have been like the same thing with Dimmesdale. He would have been like suffering from the sin the whole time because he was like such a righteous man, I guess.
Yeah, maybe they wouldn't, like, Hester wouldn't have to go through all the shaming and, like, people's judging, but if Chillingworth would have, like, came back, she probably would have felt some guilt toward him, and...
So do you think they would have, Hester and Dimmesdale would have told anybody about their sin?
No.
How did I continue? Then it would be real adultery because then she had a husband alive and present.
How does Hester adapt to her new life after she gets shunned?
She deals with it by doing good. She serves the poor, and then she serves the people who are shunning her by making them fancy stuff. So they have her gloves.
She's not allowed to make wedding stuff, wedding veils, was it? Yeah, wedding veils, she's not allowed to make. Anything else? I'll have yes, Thomas.
She's like, kind of, so back to how she's really emotionless, and then also with Pearl being a blessing, I feel like Pearl, with Hester's new lifestyle of, not really reacting to like everyone's emotions, she lets Pearl do that for her, and so as Pearl grows up and is all wild, Hester lets her express her emotions. That's what I think.
Anyone want to add on to that?
No. Okay. What's the symbolism of the forest?
From where they could get away from all the village people and this stuff and just be themselves, I think. Because, like, when they were talking and she could just go let off and the sun and everything was like, I don't know, they could just be themselves in there and not have to care about what others, like, think about them.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the light, like the hope and the light of change, because in like the jail, and I think also in the governor's home, there's kind of this sense of like darkness, this like burden, where when they're in the forest, there's like, especially like when she takes off the letter, there are these things that like, I don't know, kind of
lift them up. And so, I don't know.
I think it's the exact opposite.
Really? Yeah, I think the forest is the dark place because it's like where the devil is. It's where I feel like sin is because Mistress Hibbins goes there and being like witchy, like a witch, and then when Dimsdale and Hester go there, and they're like secretly planning to leave. You know, it's like it's the dark place. That's when and it's like it's kind of like a dream state too when Hester and Dimsdale are sitting on the log. They both don't think it's real. Classroom astronomy.
Alex, what do you have to say on the topic?
Well, I kind of think, with the forest, it kind of symbolizes, nature's beauty, and I kind of also think that I kind of disagree with Thomas. It is kind of a place of good times because, I was kind of thinking about there's a part in the book when they're, when Dimsdale and Hester are in the forest together, and Pearl's kind of, when the light comes out when she takes the scarlet letter off, it's just like it can be a place of good. So
I kind of agree with Thomas, but not quite. I think the forest isn't like a dark place. It's more like a free, more magical place. Like the town is structured and I feel like the town is always dark for some reason. Like the forest, it can be whatever you want it to be. It's wild and free, and so Mistress Hibbins uses it as a dark place. It can be used for good. That's where Hester takes off the letter and feels free for the first time.
Okay. What does Chillingsworth represent? Revenge or guilt or?
I would just say revenge.
well, I would say he represents revenge because this whole time he's just trying to get revenge on Dimsdale for what he did, and the whole purpose of him coming to Boston was to find Hester, but not only for that, but to get revenge on whoever Hester had the affair with. So
I think it's revenge and guilt because he is guilty for leaving Hester, but when he finds out, he also seeks revenge.
I would just say revenge because revenge was his whole purpose in life. After Dimsdale died, it says in the book or something, he eventually died because he had no purpose or something anymore. His whole purpose was to get revenge on him. That's just sad.
Yeah, it kind of changes him a lot. There's part in the book where it says where him and Hester are talking, and it says that his eyes even gave off the glint of red, symbolizes that he's become all he cares about is revenge and he's the devil kind of, I guess, evil, and his face has become a demon. It's just consumed him.
Kind of represents evil a little bit. So going off of that, what other changes does Chillingsworth go through?
Well, there's that point where they're on the beach where he has almost a self-reflection moment. He's he almost realizes what have I become? He used to be this great, kind scholar, and he just allowed his I don't know, his need for revenge just turned him into the representation of the devil basically in the book. And so I guess it's just that changed him, just his need for revenge.
Yeah, he kind of left everything behind when he left England. His home, his family's house, to go to his wife, his only thing he had in the U.S., and she's not there for him. So he has nothing. There's nothing to lose.
So, let's see.
Okay.
I need your hostility. Why does Dimsdale die?
Well, when Dimsdale and Chillingworth are in Dimsdale's house, they're looking out across the graveyard, talking about the plant that was growing on the grave and about sin and stuff. And Dimsdale was talking about how some people only confess their sins on their deathbed, and so I think that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to confess his sins, but not until he died. And so I think he just kind of wanted himself to die. He had given up this great sermon, and everybody like was really loving him, but he just wanted to die right then because he knew it was a lie. I mean, not so much a lie, but he knew he wasn't the pure leader that they all wanted him to be. So he wanted to die, and he just told his sin, and then he felt at peace, and then he felt that he could die then. You know.
It's kind of weird, I guess, if he wanted to die, why did he make plans with Hester to go and make a new life and live together and stuff? Right. Anything to that?
Okay, who is suffering the most in the novel?
I think Dimmesdale is because Hester is in a lot of trouble, embarrassment and judgment, but Dimmesdale he hates himself and he tortures himself, so he feels a lot of guilt, but then on top of that he also is hurting himself and hating himself. So I think he feels a lot. He suffers a lot more than Hester.
Yeah, I agree that Dimmesdale is suffering more because Hester, while she's her sin is made public, it's more of just how people view her, and she learns to kind of just accept who she is. And while everything she goes through is really hard, Dimmesdale loathes himself. He just despises himself, and I think that's a lot more powerful than what other people think it is.
And gets it out in open and she can deal with it, but he has to conceal it in himself and deal with it by himself. Why does Chillingsworth hide his identity?
Because if people knew who he was, then they kind of suspect him to want revenge on Dimmesdale. Or well, they didn't know it was Dimmesdale, but on whoever that slept with, So he wanted to keep an identity so people didn't suspect of what he was doing.
Well, I think that he hides his identity because if he revealed it and people knew that he was Hester's first husband, then people would think that he would want revenge on Hester and try and kill her, and also Dimmesdale. And so I think he hides it because he doesn't want the public to get all on him about who he should take his revenge on.
Okay, so I actually think, along with what Grace said, that he's using it as this key to revenge, but I think he's feeling it to overshadow his guilt of leaving Hester, to form himself into this revengeful thing because he doesn't want to see his own guilt.
Right. I feel it's also a little bit of shame. It would be a shameful thing to be the husband of the wife that committed adultery. I wouldn't want to have a husband like that. I would be embarrassed. Yeah. And I don't know, I feel he just doesn't want people to know because it's kind of a shameful thing.
Yeah, you don't want to be the new guy known for not being able to control your wife or whatever.
Control your wife.
Really? Hey, hostilities.
Okay.
I also think they would hurt Hester if people knew, because then she has, like I said earlier, a live husband who she actually cheated on him, and that would make the scene more worse. Right.
But does anybody else have anything to add?
No.
Yeah, said control your wife. I'm not talking again, Thomas. About the theme of sin. We already just kind of discussed that with whether sin or crime are the same thing, but how is the sin expressed throughout the book?
super bad that they have to get punished for, and it might actually be worse than crime for them, say it back in time.
Everybody has it.
Yeah.
It's like, I think the point of the book is to say that everybody sins, like, all of the characters have some form of sin. You know, like the townspeople, when they look at the Scarlet Letter, you know, and they like give it that look, like, oh, that could be me. You know, it just shows that everybody can be bad, and everybody has maybe a little sin in them.
And along with like the theme of sin, I think, you know, obviously a big part of the story is hypocrisy, because you have Dimmesdale, who's this, you know, well-respected minister, and who's preaching all these things, yet is not living them. And so I think just like being, you know, a hypocrite is kind of along with what Thomas said. No one's perfect.
Also going off of the theme of hypocrisy, like the whole book's like based off the one sin, but like the whole town like has that sin of hypocrisy. Like they all like proclaim to be like these great Puritan people, but they are the ones who like hate and judge Hester. And so like there's just like all of their sins are evident throughout the book, I guess.
Yeah, I also think it shows that you should be open. If you do something wrong, there's no point of hiding it, because it only hurts you more. And if you confess, you soon enough you'll be able to move on. Unlike if you only keep it inside.
Yeah, so like, you kind of set yourself free by telling the truth.
Yeah.
You're buried inside it, it hurts you more.
Hey there.
All right. I think we're about at time.
Okay. So.
All right, thanks you guys.